Welcome back to My Hotel Wedding Happy Hour. We missed you last week, but we hope you had a wonderful 4th of July to everyone who is based here in the United States. So we're happy to be back for another happy hour. And this time I'm talking about how to orchestrate and plan out your wedding day. I feel like a lot of the time there's all this information on hiring vendors, looking for your venue, but nobody ever talks about how to put together your wedding day and how to really organize that sequence of events. And if you don't have the luxury of having a planner, it's something that can often be confusing, especially if you've never attended a wedding before. If you've never been to a wedding, then how should you know kind of what is a good flow and the best way to kind of put things together for that day? So that's why today I wanted to do a little happy hour on orchestrating your wedding day and a lot of the considerations that you want to think about as you're putting together the schedule for that day. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please email me at info@myhotelwedding.com, or feel free to leave any questions in the comment section on our YouTube page or here in the Google Hangout, and I'll be sure to get to those questions. If not during the call, after the call, I'll be sure to comment back. So what I wanted to talk to is the timing. And the timing of your wedding day actually significantly impacts your wedding guest experience for the wedding day. If you have a good sequence of events and good timing, then your guests are always entertained and never bored and will walk away from your wedding being like, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Everything was timed perfectly. There was no downtime. The food came at just the right time. And that's really what you want as your guests walk away from your wedding day. So a lot of that comes down to the timing. So one of the first things you'll want to take into consideration when you're putting together your day of timing and your wedding timing is your start time and your end time. So if you know you want to end at 2 in the morning or even later or midnight, you kind of want to back up your start time from there. Most weddings average anywhere between 6 to 8 hours, which I know sounds like a crazy long day, and it is, but kind of once you get through the ceremony and cocktails and dinner and everything like that, you blink and it's over. I promise you, you will not believe how much time has passed, because it does not feel like it's been 6 to 8 hours of your day, because it's much funner than your normal work day. So it flies by, and so it sounds like a long or a large amount of time, but just keep that in mind as you're backing up your timing. Also, if you're planning to have a black tie dress code for your wedding, you'll want to start after the sun's gone down. Typically, black tie starts at sunset or onset. So that's something to keep in mind as well too. If that's something you want to do, maybe you push your start time back to 7 o'clock or even later, and you go till 2 or 3 in the morning. And which is nice too, especially if you're having a weeknight wedding or a Friday night wedding. It gives guests extra time to get to your wedding location if they're coming from work. If it's on a Sunday, you may want to consider starting earlier, as people have work on Monday and may not be able to stay and party as late. So you might want to bump up that start time based on a Sunday wedding. And then Saturday, it's all up for grabs. So I talked about the invite and counting back from your start time. Once you know your start time, that's when a lot of this is like math and counting backwards from your start time. So you'll want to count backwards for hair and makeup. So depending on how many people are in your bridal party getting hair and makeup done, you want to make sure you've allocated enough time to back up, and that'll become your start time for hair and makeup. So just an industry average, makeup is about 30 to 45 minutes per person, and hair is 45 minutes to an hour per person. And this can be an extra 15 minutes longer or so if you're the bride. So as you're putting together who all is doing hair and makeup, and for yourself, you'll want to back up and do the math on all those times, so you know what time you have to start getting ready in the morning or start having everybody come by for those treatments. And then another consideration in putting together your wedding day is, are you having a first look? Will you be seeing your partner before the ceremony, or will the ceremony be the first time you see one another? Now, if you're doing a first look, which I am totally biased, I'm not scared to say, I'm a big fan of the first look, unless you have some reason that you want to wait, that's completely wonderful and amazing for you. But the beauty of the first look is it's a very private moment for the two of you. So if that's something you will be doing, you again want to put in extra time before the ceremony. You want to give yourself about an hour just for that first look, which gives you a little buffer if you're running late with hair and makeup. And then you want to give yourself another hour of pictures with friends, family, your bridal party, etc. Because it's really nice to actually get those things out of the way prior to the ceremony or cocktails or whatever you're starting with, and just have all of that done while your hair is fresh, your makeup's fresh, everything's fresh for everyone. And from there, I also like to put in another buffer of about 30 to 45 minutes or an hour if you can spare it of downtime before the ceremony, because between waking up, getting hair and makeup done, doing pictures with family and friends, it's really, really golden to just have a minute, well, more than a minute, but like 30 minutes at least, to just relax and take a breath before actually walking down the aisle and having your ceremony and saying I do. So those are kind of a couple of big hints that I like to give my couples when it comes to the timing of their wedding day. I think also there's a lot of misconceptions on the order that things have to go in. Typically, we attend weddings where we start with the ceremony, then we go to cocktail hour, and then dinner and dancing. But I've also been to fabulous weddings that actually start with the cocktail hour, and then guests are invited to ceremony, and then you finish with dinner and dancing. So don't feel like you have to be locked into a box of there's just one way to do things. There are different ways, whether you want to start with cocktails or your ceremony. It's completely up to you. So keep that in mind as well, too, as you're putting together your schedule. Do you want guests to arrive and get right into the ceremony, or do you want them to arrive and mix and mingle before heading into your ceremony? So something to keep in mind. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they had no idea that you could even do a wedding in that order. So it's always fun to kind of share those tidbits of information in my mind. Another thing we talk about is the sequence of your actual dinner dance portion of the event. Again, I have had a lot of fun educating couples on the options there, because there are some fun things you can do. So traditionally, and a lot of the time, we've done, you sit, you have first course, second course, dessert or cake cutting, and then you just have dancing for a couple of hours straight, or maybe only an hour if your mealtime runs over. And a lot of the couples we work with, and this is really big in Los Angeles, in Southern California, woo, is actually breaking it up to have a first course, get up, have a dance set for 30 to 45 minutes, sit down, have an entree, get up, dance some more, have dessert, have a cake cutting, and get up and dance some more until dawn. And I think that's a really great sequence and presentation of your sequence, because it gets people up and down and mingling, and it keeps the party going. And as soon as you had something to eat, you're able to dance it off, and then sit down, eat a little bit more, drink some more wine, and then dance it off, and then you're ready for the next course. And I, if you couldn't tell, am biased to that sequencing of events. Now, there are times where your venue or caterer can't work with that sequence, and you can still have equally as amazing dance time. You just want to be able to work with your caterer on how you're putting together the meal and the timing of the meal so that you can maximize your dancing once meal service has ended. So those are just things to keep in mind as you're putting together your sequence for your wedding day. Let me see what other things I have on my notes. Yeah, I think that really covers it. I know it's not a lot in terms of sequencing, but those are just some of the highlights that I think a lot of people don't know about when it comes to planning out your wedding day. So I wanted to share those with our My Hotel Wedding couples. Most importantly, though, I have to say, is have fun on your wedding day. Do whatever you think will be the funnest, most exciting sequence of the day for you and your friends and family. And I guarantee you, you will have an amazing time celebrating. So thank you so much for joining me in happy hour. I have my wine. I hope you have yours. And I wish you all some very happy planning. Cheers.